mentioned in the book, to me, it seemed that just natural things. Now let's talk about the masturbation.
Right.
When did that start?
With the bed thing.
With
like,
the
well,
bed.
actually, that was the person who, I was with mentioned it to me. I was like 14, 15, and he mentioned it to me. He asked me if I ever did it. And I did. I can't say I knew what it was, but he did. He told me about it, and he taught me things, and it was actually a time when I wasn't with him when I tried it. And then that's when, like I said,
You were 14 at the time.
14, 15,
Okay.
around that age.
Okay, you were 14, 15, so that meant he was a year older.
Right.
All right. So at that time, when you guys would make love, at that time, there would be someone that was going to come. Not at first. In the beginning, there was none of that. Even in the beginning, like when you were 4 years old?
I would say it didn't really happen until the very first time I did it by myself.
No. Here's what I'm saying is, you talked about he penetrating you at 4 years old.
Right.
And then later, you 8 years old, you start penetrating him.
Right.
Okay. So when he was telling you about masturbation, have you ever done it? He was at that time. If you were 15, he was 16.
Right.
If you were 14, he was 15. Right. So at that time, he could actually ejaculate.
Right.
So if he's making love to you at that time, it would happen. So did it ever happen when you guys was connected together at that time?
No.
How do you know?
No.
Because at that time,
I didn't see it or feel it or anything like that. And I mean, I do remember him mentioning it, like, I remember one time he said, it might happen. And at that time I was like, what do you mean, what might happen? And even then, now that I think about it, it's weird because I did learn it in school, but like I said, I don't remember learning it. I don't know why I wasn't paying attention. I don't know what my psyche was at the time. But the very first time, like I said, when he started mentioning it to me, I remember I was in my room. I was actually home alone at the time.
Sure.
And I was pretty sure I was 14. And I said, well, I'm going to give this a go. And at that moment when it happened, that's when I realized that the very first time I actually ejaculated was in the bed, because I had the same feeling. And I said, oh, so that's what this is. And the next time I met him after that, we would never, inside each other, but we would.
Well, you said in the book that you didn't know that you ejaculated.
Right, the first time.
The first time that you woke up the next day and saw the semen on the side of the bed.
I wasn't sure what it was.
Wasn't sure what it was.
Right.
So at that time, you didn't feel the sensation.
No, I felt it.
You felt it?
But even then, I didn't know what was going on.
Okay, so while you were ejaculating years ago, at 14 years old, you felt it, but you didn't feel it coming out of you? You didn't realize that it was coming out?
No, that I didn't realize.
Wow. Most people say that's a different.
Yeah.
Mostly. So after that right there, it was like, hey, wow, you got this new.
Yeah, I was like, this is different.
Mm-hmm.
And even then I was like, okay, how come I don't feel like I'm, I felt like I was done, but I've never felt that before, because I've never actually ejaculated.
Okay.
And so, like I said,
after you discovered,
right,
and you started,
yes, then that's when it became something I did regularly.
Regularly.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you would see let's picture this right here. You would see a guy that you wanted to be with, that maybe you wouldn't approach, and then you would come home and think about him and ejaculate.
Sometimes, yes.
Was it ever?
Mostly.
Was it ever from reading your book, moving forward, leaving my past behind? There was never a woman that you saw that you went home and ejaculate, thought about.
Certain ages.
And what do you mean by that?
I think as I got older, and I would say between the ages of 18 and 20.
Okay, we're jumping a whole lot.
So from that 15, age,
from the first time you did it till, let's say, 17. Between that margin, what I read in your book, you didn't say anything about a woman. No. So you would, so in all that time, when you would do it, it was your mindset was to please a man or be pleased by a man.
Right.
Okay. So have you, because according to your book, I'm only reading what your words say. These are your words, not mine. People can go out and buy the book, Moving Forward, Leaving My Past Behind, a memoir by Casey Bell. Now, according to your book, if anyone read your book, they would ever think that you would even thought of a woman.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it was all male. Your book is male dominated. All right. You even talked about meeting people at like a video, what do you call them, stores, a porno store.
Yeah. I can't, I'm trying to, the very first time that happened, I don't even remember the first, I do remember there was like 3 or 4 of them I would go to. And one of them I just went in and I closed the door and someone came in behind and said, you know, do you mind if I come in? And
well, you're in a store now.
Yeah, well, they're
explain the whole store for the YouTube audience.
Some porn stores have
private rooms.
Have private rooms that you can go in.
Okay.
And basically, a lot of men, both single, married,
sure,
everything, go in there, and their main purpose to go in there is to find someone to hook up with.
In the store.
Right. In the little booth.
Okay, so how do you get to go into these booths? You just walk in, or is there a toll charge?
No, you walk in. Well, it's a charge to watch, but when you walk in the room, it's kind of like a video game. You put the money in, and then it turns on.
Okay. So when you put the money in, you're looking at a porn video.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And basically, you go in, and I mean, you can close the door, but if you want someone to come in, you don't lock it. And if they come, when they come in, you either reject or receive them, and then whatever happens, happens. And then they leave, and chances are that's the last time you'll ever see them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you're paid basically for the machine to be on the video of this. And the person come tap on the door, you let them in, or you don't let them in.
Right.
Okay. And I think you went off to say that you had many relationships in stores like that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, I lost count. I was counting, and then I kind of got disgusted with myself.
Now, why did you get disgusted with yourself?
Because it was that many. I mean, I remember growing up watching, the talk shows.
Sure.
And seeing, can't figure out who the baby's father is, and going, oh my gosh, that's crazy.
That show's probably on about right now.
And then for me, to be in that position where I just have too many, I just was like, this is disgusting. And it was disgusting, but not disgusting enough at the time for me to stop. And that's when I began to really hate myself.
Were you overweight at the time?
No. At that time, no. I had lost the weight.
Yeah, from your fasting and things of that
right.
nature. You had lost the weight. So, let me ask you this right here. In terms of, and I guess this doesn't matter, but we got everything else on the table. Why not pull this out, right? The men that you were attracted to, were they black men? Were they white men? Were they Asian men, or what?
I would say my attraction to men was shallow. Mm-hmm. Very shallow. It didn't matter the skin color. Mm-hmm. They just had to be, the young Hollywood type mm-hmm. person with the, in shape body and good looks. That was it. But the skin color, the height, all that didn't matter.
Didn't matter at all. Did you ever get, where you wanted more from them than just what we would call a booty call?
A relationship? No.
Okay.
No, that was another reason why I didn't.
Was it?
Because I knew that as far as what people say, you know, I know a lot of people say, they go, oh, why don't you just come out of the closet? But the thing for me is I never wanted to have the equal rights. I don't want to marry a man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want anything that, you know, the gay community wants.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want a relationship. I don't want to live with a man. I don't want to, you know, go to a gay parade or, you know, I didn't want that lifestyle.
So
all I wanted was the pleasure, and once I was done, I was done.
So did you consider yourself gay then?
I never did. I never did. I mean, I would say I was around the other men, but I never...
Around the other men that you were,
right.
were interacting with.
Because basically, in that world, the whole world of...
homosexuality?
No.
Gay?
Specifically sex.
Okay.
Where you're doing the one-night stands, just meeting up to have sex. In that world, you're either considered straight, gay, or bisexual. Mm-hmm. Even if you are having sex with another man. There are what they call straight men who still consider themselves straight, but still have sex with men.
Okay.
And so they would ask you, are you straight, gay, or bisexual? And I would always say gay only because I always thought about having sex with a woman, but I was too afraid to, because I wasn't sure if she was going to be disappointed, and I didn't want to disappoint, and so that was the only reason why I was afraid to say bisexual.
Okay.
But I never saw myself as gay because I didn't want to live a gay lifestyle. And even if I said, okay, maybe my family won't accept me, but I have hundreds of friends who would accept me, but I still wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to live my life forever in this light of just doing it. Because like I said, the only reason why I did it was for pleasure. I wanted no relationship, no long-term relationship. I didn't want friendship. I didn't want anything. I just wanted pleasure. And once it was over, I was done with that particular time span. So I would say if
but
did
you ever meet any man that wanted more?
Me, no.
Okay, because I mean it's kind of like,
because when you're searching for it, you basically put out what you want.
Okay.
And you come in agreement that we're meeting just for this, and that's it.
Oh, okay. So it was never something that no one ever waited around for you after.
No.
Were you ever paid for sex? No. You never solicited.
I'm gonna be honest. When I got to after being arrested and
we'll talk about that in a little while.
It was hard getting a job. I always said to myself, if I can find a way, because I didn't want to do it illegally. Sure. Because I didn't want to get in jail again. So I said, I would always say to myself, if there was a way I can get to Las Vegas and get myself, you know, my papers to do it, I would. Because at that moment, that was the only way I could see myself.
You mean go to Las Vegas to be a prostitute?
Right.
And to be...
so I can get money.
Okay, and at that moment, just for the YouTube and Facebook audience that will be getting this show, at that moment, you going to Vegas to be a prostitute, what kind of prostitute were you going to be? Gay or whatever?
To me, my thinking in that moment was I was so desperate for work, for money.
Sure.
It didn't matter. It didn't matter who you were. I would say even I was desperate enough to, because the one thing I would tell when men would get with me, I would always ask, are you married? And if they said yes, I said, sorry, I can't. I just can't do that. And so in that moment I said I would even get with a married woman, man, it didn't matter, because I was just so desperate for money and I was desperate for a job.
And why would you stop at, because you was only out there for pleasure, why would you stop at if the man was married?
Because I had to, I couldn't, I was thinking of the other person. Like
the wife.
Yeah, even though she doesn't know, it's still the fact, I don't know. I mean, just, I guess, a heavy conviction saying that this woman did nothing to me.
Sure.
So why should I, in a sense, do that to her?
Sure.
And that's why I just, for whatever reason, and there were even times where I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. But then it would get to the point where I would tell them, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, I just can't. And they would understand, because some of them have been in it in so long, they understand the rejection because they know they're married. But I just couldn't I couldn't